Okay, negotiation is, in its very simple form, a way of communicating your needs and wants to those around you. And if you get your needs met, whether it be at a job or a relationship, a dispute or a deal, you're going to use a lot of the same techniques that we're going to review today. Strategies are things we do before the negotiation. Okay, think about a plan. This is ancient. There's thousands, literally thousands of years of written text on this topic. And in JobSeekers, if you look at the Ishikawa materials, that is your plan. That's your strategy. It's really important to do that. Now I have my research I've distilled, but first I want to tell you a little story. And it shows you how important planning, your strategy, sitting down and getting in negotiation strategy is to achieving your goal. By a percentage, it is has the largest impact of you getting what you want. Things you do before you get in front of that employer. So get a plan, sit down, find some space, and start going through the list I'm going to give you in a minute here. And I was counsel at the time, and he said, we're going to lunch, and we're going to do a plan, a strategic plan. We went to lunch, 4-hour lunch. We did a plan. We laid out everything. And generally they say exit strategy, like when you sell a business, it'll take 5, maybe 10 years. So he did it in 3. He built that value, knew what he had the plan. I do a lot of intellectual property, so that was a big part of the plan. And he sold that in 3 years, which was the fastest exit he's ever had. But does anyone want to run to a company that has a lot of problems? Raise your hand. Okay. Well, think about it. If they didn't have problems, why would they be hiring? People hire to get rid of problems. And you know what? You're going to solve their problems for them. The Washington University in St. Louis did a study on what they call deal durability. When do deals fall apart? When do people end in litigation? When do people get terminated in a job? When do employers feel like this is not a good deal for them? And what the research showed was when we feel enfranchised in the negotiation process, okay, when we feel like it was our collective deal, those deals are durable. Those accords stay together. But if one side feels like it was imposed, if they were forced to take it, if the tone was asymmetric, where one party had all the power and one party has no, those deals do not stay together. So, and the interesting about this study, and I tell you, it has nothing to do with objectively if one party had more than the other. It had to do with subjectively. If they felt that they were imposed upon, then they wanted out. They wanted out of that deal, they wanted out of that job. So the way to get over this deal durability factor is to make your employer and you personally should feel that this is my job and I'm going to build them and they're going to build me. And it has to be this, hey, this is fair, subjectively, quote, fair. Not something that was imposed. And that's how deals stay together. The rest do not stay together. And think about it. Legislation. We hear about, in politics, polarization. Legislation that's all one side. Do you think it'll stand the test of time? Does it? No, not really, because it feels like it was imposed. So the more we can enfranchise those people we negotiate, which means employer and employee, that it's our deal, it's our transaction, it's our collective job. It's not, hey, I'm doing you a favor or you're doing me a favor. Those are much more durable relationships, and that's assessing deal durability. Important. One thing that's very important is what you put on your resume, which is it has to be truthful, right? Because when you misrepresent, depending on the level, that can rise to the level of fraud, especially if lives are at stake. For example, if I'm a doctor and I said, oh, I was an ER surgeon this many years and I had no such study, well, that is fraud. And that is not, oh, it's an ethical dilemma. You know, you have to think about it between you and your maker. You know, that certainly is a question. The other question is, do you look good in a bright orange jumpsuit? At some point, ethics do cross the line into illegal behavior. And so what I did was I polled 60 professional negotiators. These are people who spent more than 60% of their day negotiating. And I said, what are the most effective tactics they use? And they gave me the top ones. There's actually 11 because number 10 was within a standard deviation, so they're top 11. And then I interviewed many more people. Salespeople, lawyers, police officers, combat veterans, hostage negotiators, and that's how I got the other 151 tactics, in other words, and we talk a lot about those. So here's the aggregated data. Persuasive. The more specific, the more persuasive, especially in numbers. Let's talk about numbers and precision. When I'm looking at a number, they've done a number of studies that round numbers are not persuasive. People think you just came up. How much do you want? Oh, I want 100K. No, not persuasive. How much do you want? I want $105,489. When you price your house, homes that get priced with more digits sell faster than how much you want for a house. 250, 350, 450. They don't sell. Put a few more digits in there, more persuasion. Precision is persuasive. So too on your authority. If you say, oh, the National Association of Purchasing Managers survey says the average procurement specialist level 1 makes $75,000 a year, and that's what I think is fair for this job, that's a lot better than, gee, I think I'll guess a number, or I'll say, the market is bearing this rate. What does that mean? Well, someone you talked to said they were getting that much. That's not persuasive. The more precise the authority you cite tactically is much more persuasive. So probably those discussions probably should have happened before you got to the offer letter, face to face, or say, as was suggested, can we meet again? Because there's a big issue here. Or note him and say, hey, I'd love to talk to you a little bit, and then have it, because that initial negotiation is probably the best you're going to get. So once you're into the company, your salary will go up incrementally as per their process, but as a lateral, those lateral moves tend to be higher percentage increases. So this professor got the job and then asked for 16% more, almost 16% more, a little bit under that. What can you do to it? You have two choices. Right. How, and there's two ways to reject something. How to do that? Exactly right. So a contract has an offer, acceptance, and consideration, which is money. But offer, I can accept it, or I can reject it. There's two types of rejection. One is I don't want it, reject it outright, or a counteroffer, which extinguishes the first offer. And then you're left with your counteroffer, and the ball's in their court, and they can either accept it or reject it. And that's what she did, and they rejected it. All have. So experience is about learning on the anvil of life. Who you are right now today was forged on the anvil of years of experience, and that's powerful, and that's what you have to let your potential employers know. Thank you.